This is my reaction video and analysis of Penn State's 41-12 win down in Auburn in front of almost 90,000 fans. Look, Penn State's roster is revealing itself to be incredibly deep, and this team continues through 3 games to just show playmaking ability across all 3 levels, really. Defensively, they made plays everywhere, and that's becoming the hallmark of this team, if you ask me. And look, Auburn did move the ball at times, don't get me wrong. They were inside Penn State's 10 or maybe 15-yard line 3 times today and came away with a total of 6 points on those 3 drives. I'm talking about the 2 drives where Auburn was held to a field goal in the first half, and then in the third quarter when backup quarterback Robbie Ashford was intercepted by Penn State safety Jair Brown, who played a hell of a game. It was a 3rd and goal from like the 23. Penn State put the game away on the ensuing possession on the short touchdown run by Allen. Look, earlier in the third, Penn State had rode Nick Singleton for that touchdown drive, 3 carries, 58 yards, kind of revealing the big playability that they have. He's almost like a wide receiver, from the standpoint of he can bust big runs with the same propensity that certain receivers can bust, big plays in the passing game. And maybe that will reveal itself to not be an accurate statement as the season goes on. But look, Singleton's impact is amazing. The defense is surging, particularly in the second halves, if you ask me. Once Singleton had that 3 carries on the drive for like 58 yards to make it 21-6, the defense just took over. They got a field goal from Jake Pinniger after Jair Brown forced a fumble in the Auburn backfield on a 3rd down to go up 24-6. There was like an 18-minute stretch in the third quarter to about 2 minutes into the fourth, maybe 3 minutes into the fourth, where it looked very similar defensively to how it looked against Purdue. Once Purdue went up 24-21 on the touchdown pass to Charlie Jones in Game 1, Penn State's defense went into shutdown mode, and they did the same thing today. And it was kind of surprising. It shouldn't be surprising, really, at this point, because they're just that talented. They're just that deep. There's just that many guys who play fast, who can cover at the defensive back position. The edge defender position is like really stabilizing itself. I mean, Robinson and Isaac looked pretty damn overwhelming today against Auburn's tackles at times. And when I say it was surprising, what I mean is, the first half was interesting. Penn State's offense did have 2 really nice drives, don't get me wrong, but they had 3 really ineffective possessions. I think the first, third, and fourth. Over those, so 3 of the first 4 possessions, Penn State had totaled 13 plays for 39 yards. But the problem for Auburn is on the other 2 possessions, the second and the fifth, maybe actually the second and the fourth, maybe, the offense looked nearly unstoppable. They had a 9-play, 75-yard drive on the second possession where Sean Clifford hit Mitchell Tinsley for like a 14-yard pass play and then a 34-yard pass play. Clifford then capped that drive with a 7-yard touchdown run. Then on Penn State's 4th possession, after Auburn had settled for a field goal again inside the 15 to pull within 7-6, the Penn State offense was able to convert 2 clutch 3rd downs. And this is the thing that I feel like I have noticed that seems different about this year's team. They don't appear bothered or nervous at all about some of these 3rd down situations. This particular one, it's 7-6. Penn State has the football, obviously, and it's 3rd and 6. Excuse me. Clifford finds Brenton Strange into the boundary on the left side to exploit a blitz. Auburn had brought some pressure up the middle and looked like it took Clifford off his initial read, and then he just realized, I've got Strange over here to the boundary. Boom, like a 15-yard gain. 3 plays later, run concept, 3rd and 2. They line up, heavy personnel. I think unbalanced line. Give the ball to Kevon Lee for a short 1st down run to the 40. The announcers thought that he didn't get there. I thought it was quite obvious he got it by half a yard. 2 plays after that, Clifford then catches that double pass from Keandre Lambert-Smith, which was huge. Perfectly set up. Perfect call. Really caught Auburn's defense off balance. 25-yard gain up the left sideline. Clifford had like 3 blockers in front of him. Beautiful call. Really timely, if you ask me. Katron Allen's 3-yard touchdown run then put Penn State up 14-6 with a little less than 2 minutes and a half. And when I say the first half was interesting, here's what I mean. It's 14-6, and then Penn State gets the ball back like a minute later at midfield after Abdul Carter, who played a hell of a game, forced a fumble. I'm not sure if you remember. It was a completed pass on a snag concept to Penn State's defense's right, the offense's left. And Abdul Carter forces a fumble, and then Jonathan Sutherland recovers it. So it's 14-6, a minute left and a half. Penn State has a ball at midfield, and you're like, okay, here's an opportunity to really, really get some separation. And the offense does nothing. Just does nothing. After, like I said, a really impressive possession just before that. So they had the punt. Then the first half, a really weird first half, if you ask me, kind of up and down for both teams, finally ends on a sack and forced fumble by Chop Robinson, where T.J. Finley, Auburn's quarterback, appeared to get hurt as he was taken down, and I thought the announcers covered that quite well. At halftime, though, Penn State's winning 14-6, but they've run 33 total offensive plays for just 180 yards, if I did my math right. And it looked like the third quarter would be, continue to be quite competitive, just basing on the gameplay of the first half. But boy, was I wrong. I mean, Penn State overwhelmed off Auburn after halftime. It really looked like that fourth quarter or late third quarter, fourth quarter against Purdue, where the defense just went into complete shutdown mode. They made the better adjustments. I thought they got more aggressive. Didn't think the zone pass defense looked great today in certain situations, but I have no data to back that up. It's not like I was tracking that. Just some guys who just showed up consistently, made big plays. There's just so many of them. I'm sure I'm going to miss some. In the second half alone, or third quarter alone, Curtis Jacobs had a tackle for loss on the opening play of the third quarter. Then Adisa Isaac sacked Finley on third down. Offense took off after that. After that 3-and-out, the offense just took off. Scored on three consecutive possessions in the third quarter. And so sandwiched around that was the two drives that showed off the explosive ability of Singleton. On that first possession of the third quarter, Penn State's first possession, after Isaac's sack forced a punt, Singleton busts loose for like a 53-yarder down to the Auburn 5. He scored 2 plays later, make it 21-6. Just 3 minutes into the third quarter. And then 15 minutes of gameplay later, suddenly, Singleton rips off another huge run, this one a 54-yard score that makes it 38-12. And it's like you're on the road against an SEC opponent. I think 87,000 or something was the announced attendance. And in 18 minutes, the score goes from 14-6 to 38-12. I find that to be quite impressive and noteworthy. The talent level, it's not just like you have 5 or 6 or 7 supremely talented guys. There is depth with the talent at Penn State that I think should be recognized as depth that mirrors the really good SEC schools. Now, does it mirror Alabama and Auburn Alabama and Georgia at this point? Well, we don't know. We don't know, but there is a hell of a lot of depth, and everyone they put in there makes plays. The offense as well, bridging the third quarter to the fourth quarter, here's what they did. 5 offensive possessions, 26 plays for 240 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 field goals. And while the defense was just squeezing the air out of the place. At 3-and-out on the Auburn's first possession, where Isaac, who was just balling, sacked Finley. And then after Singleton's first touchdown, Chop Robinson and Jair Brown got in the backfield on Auburn's second possession and turned the field on that 3rd and 12 when Brown forced a fumble by Finley, and then Robinson recovered it. Penn State settled for a field goal, make it 24-6. I thought, again, that was a second opportunity to really get a little more separation. And then Auburn makes a QB change, and it seemed to help them. Robbie Ashford, I think a former two-sport athlete at Oregon. Ashford and Tank Bigsby, Auburn's really talented running back, got the ball down to Penn State's 12 before Abdul Carter sacked Ashford for a loss of 12 on a second down, or a loss of 11 on a second down, and then Jair Brown intercepted a pass on the right side of the field, returning it like 27 yards to set up the offense. Katron Allen kind of took over on that next possession. It's so interesting between the 3 running backs that Penn State has that they just basically let one guy have a possession, have a drive, and let him operate. I really kind of like that. I don't know what you guys think. As opposed to, Singleton for 2 plays, Allen for 2 plays, Lee for a couple of plays. I like that they're letting guys have an entire possession. So Katron Allen, 5 carries for 34 yards on that drive. Capped with a 6-yard score, pushed the lead to 31-6. Granted, the defense did give up a score on the next Auburn possession, I believe. And I think they played zone at least twice on that. But generally, Manny Diaz's group in the third quarter and fourth was just possessed. Look, Auburn finished with 415 yards of total offense. But Penn State forced 4 turnovers. You had the diving interception by Zakee Wheatley. You had Brown's interception on that nice zone drop in the third quarter that I talked about. You had Robinson's fumble recovery on the forced fumble by Brown. And then I think Jonathan Sutherland had a fumble recovery when Abdul Carter forced one on that completed pass on a second down downfield. They just come at the offense in waves. There's so many guys who play well. So many guys who make explosive plays. There's so many playmakers on defense, which is rare if you ask me. And Manny Diaz seems to have the right calls in terms of when to be aggressive and when not to. Yeah, I know they gave up 2 third and longs today, or at least one. And they had some real difficulty containing Finley when they were bringing pressure. I'm talking early. And it wasn't containing him on the edge. It was Finley recognizing where the rush lanes might be and then stepping up in the pocket and rushing right up the field. And there was just nobody at the second level. It was really like only a 2-level defense, the rush and then the coverage. But look, Brown had a forced fumble and a pick. Abdul Carter was attacking. I think he led the team with 6 tackles, had a sack and a forced fumble. Isaac had 3 TFLs and the sack. I think he had at least 1 other quarterback pressure, maybe 2. Tyler Elsdon, I thought, played really well, particularly well against the run. Covered the running back really well at least once when targeted in the end zone in the first half, maybe the first quarter. Wheatley, of course, had that forced fumble in the Purdue game on that unbelievable hustle play. He got another turnover on the road, this one the diving pick. I thought Kalen King played well in coverage. Marquise Wilson, another corner who, I'll be honest with you, I had not really noticed prior to today in terms of comparing him to some of the other DBs. Marquise Wilson finished with 6 tackles, 4 solos, and a tackle for loss. There's just so many guys who contribute to these wins, and it seems like it's a different guy on every play. I think that is an illustration of how talented and how deep this roster is, and how they're going to be able to keep up with the really talented teams that they're going to face on their schedule, obviously being Michigan, Ohio State, and Michigan State later on. Penn State came in as 2.5-point favorites, so I know the books recognize where most of the talent was, but what's impressive to me is Penn State goes on a 24-6 run over an 18-minute time frame, starting with the kickoff in the third quarter to Singleton's touchdown 3 minutes into the fourth quarter. They outscore Auburn 24-6 on the road, force Auburn to bring in another quarterback. It seemed like that 87,000 people was 87. It might not have been shocking in terms of who won, but it was really impressive the way that it happened to me. The overall line, I think, was like 48 or maybe 50, and Penn State could have almost eclipsed that by themselves for real. I mean, if they didn't really go really conservative once Drew Aller got in the game with about 11 minutes left, he took the offense down the field, and I think Ford was playing running back, 9-play drive to reach Auburn's 1, and eventually they converted a field goal for a 41-12 lead with like 5 minutes left. Incredibly deep roster. Very impressive to see how they come at people defensively. I'm impressed the most because of the 2 most challenging games they've played, both on the road against capable opponents. The defense has just really been a bully in the second half. Now, Purdue did have 2 positive possessions in the third quarter of that game. But then what I'm referencing is this. There was, after Charlie Jones' 7-yard touchdown catch, with a minute left in the third quarter, put Purdue up 24-21. I believe the defense held Purdue to 49 yards on 24 plays in the ensuing 5 possessions. Shutdown. And today the defense produced a similar result over the entire second half. Auburn had 7 possessions in the second half. And here you go, 38 plays, including 3 3-and-outs, just 1 touchdown, and 2 turnovers. The Brown forced fumble on the sack of Finley, recovered by Chop Robinson, like I said, and then Brown's interception of Ashford on like the 3rd and 23 as Auburn was struggling to keep up. This defense is becoming a real force, if you ask me. The offense obviously has a huge amount of talent. One of the guys that I just love watching the most is Brenton Strange. Blocking at the point of attack, those F counter plays are really giving people problems. But I'm focusing this video mostly on the defense, and it would be easy to talk about Singleton, and he deserves the attention. This defense is just so impressive. Look, today, 11 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 9 quarterback hurries, 26 different players recorded tackles today, as you can see right there on the stat line. Now I think a few of those are special teams. They're going to get 2 more opportunities to really get things tuned up before visiting Michigan in mid-October. They get Ohio State and Michigan State at home, both later on, separated by like 2 weeks between them, I think. Michigan, then 2 weeks later, Ohio State, then 2 or 3 weeks later, Michigan State. I can't help but think we're headed for a big collision with Michigan. I'm really looking forward to it. This reaction video includes stats for you to check out if you wish, and my observations. I will publish up, some possession information. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comment section. One of my more fun games to watch, just because Penn State was on the road against an SEC team, and even though there were 2.5-point favorites, you would think that there is going to be a point at which the talent, the depth of talent at Auburn, particularly the running back. I mean, they had a 6'7" quarterback. They had a 6'5" receiver who made an unbelievable catch up the right sideline, I think on a third down. I think Bo Jackson's nephew plays. He's quite talented, even though he had a fumble. So you thought, like, there's going to be a moment at which the SEC talent starts to assert itself. No, wrong. It was absolutely the other direction, and I think that's notable. Let me know if you share the level of interest, number one, and level of being impressed that I have. I mean, I am supremely impressed with the entire roster. It's easy to be impressed with Nick Singleton. They do a great job on some of those angled off-tackle run plays. I'll maybe diagram some of them up on Twitter this week. But this is an interesting development, that this defense continues to make plays against everyone they play, and it's multiple guys who do it. Play Central Michigan, and I can't wait to see what they come up with next week. Let me know what you think of this reaction video, what you think of some of my thoughts, particularly my thoughts as it relates to the defense. Didn't really talk about the offense too much. Sean Clifford obviously did a lot of good things, but quite conservative game plan. As you can see, 14 of 19 passing for 178. Didn't really need a whole lot in terms of, the pass contribution. Parker Washington, 4 catches. Mitchell Tinsley, 3. Brenton Strange, 6 for 80. Appreciate you guys checking the video out. Let me know what you think in the comments section. If you think other Penn State fans would enjoy this video, please consider sharing it on social media to help this video increase its reach and exposure.